Alright guys, so here's the Chaser, as you know. So all I did was basically put the front bumper, Vertex front bump or back bumper, and then the front bumper I went with the Cosma kit, and then the fenders I went 20 millimeters out. So with that being said, that's basically all the updates. Also, I did swap out my ECU and I put a Link plug and play G4X. Shout out to Tuner Tools for sending me a little map to get the car like kind of started, but so far it hasn't started. But I think next month in July I'll be able to tow my car over there and have him basically fix it. Just put a base map on and have this thing running and running on the dyno. So on the Chaser, obviously the rear seats come out. But I basically there's hooks that hook onto here. Same thing with the other side, and then there's also hooks that hook under the back support. Now for this side, basically it's just these 10 millimeter bolts on each side, and then you kind of just have to finagle it. You can actually remove the seatbelt from up top, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to be removing the 10 mils. And yeah, I'll get back to it. So once you get those 4 10 millimeter bolts that hold the rear back support, basically my audio cut out, and so right now I'm just kind of lifting the back support out. Other than that, that's kind of it. So I'll cut down the video, shorten it a little bit. So this is the fuel pump assembly behind the rear back support and the rear seat. It is a in-tank fuel system, so it's in the car, it's in the trunk. So yeah, so basically I'm just pointing out what you need to disconnect here. The connector, and then you got that threaded bolt, and then you got your fuel line. So yeah, basically here I'm just pointing out how you lift the butt support off the seat. So you lift up and then get those tabs out, and then you pull it out. And then the rear back supports, you have those 4 little bolts, 10 millimeter bolts. What you want to do is take those out and then basically lift up. And then once you lift up, you kind of just yank it out and you get those 3 tabs as well. And then you'll be able to access your fuel pump assembly in your Jzx. So yeah, basically here I just pulled out the fuel pump assembly and the fuel pump. This is what they had in it. So the guy in Japan had a 255 wall barrel fuel pump. Oh, actually I don't even know if it's a wall barrel. It looks kind of universal, but basically I just undid what he did, removed the crimps that he crimped, well actually yeah, and then I rewired everything. So here's the AEM fuel pump, and that's the filter. Comes with a little O-ring that they provide, which is a good thing. Most companies don't. I got this on eBay from Real Street Performance in Florida. Here's the fuel pump. Hopefully you can pause it and then see the part number. It is a 340 LPH fuel pump from AEM. Kind of doing a lot of AEM stuff in this Chaser, surprisingly. There's the bracket that holds the fuel pump, and then they provide the connectors. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do is basically cut the existing wires, crimp the new ones, use a butt connector, heat shrink butt connector, and then heat it up, connect it, and then basically reinstall everything. So here it is. I got everything wired up with the connectors. This is what it looks like. Not a lot of guys on YouTube actually show this part. I don't know why. I guess they don't want people to judge them on the way they crimp, but at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? This is your car. If you can't afford it, then oh well, that sucks. If you talk shit, it is what it is, you know. We all live and we learn. So yeah, and I used a lighter for it, so I don't really care. I don't suggest doing it, but since I had it out of the car and away from my car, and I covered up the fuel tank, basically a fuel tank hole, and then I covered that up so nothing flammable can get inside of it, nothing can contaminate it. So yeah, basically here, this is what it looks like after everything is completed. I got the strap that basically connects over the fuel pump and into the assembly. The filter I got there, got the wires connected. Yeah, so basically what you want to do is reinstall it. Time to work backwards now. You want to go at an angle for these Jzx100 Chaser fuel assembly, and then yeah, I'll show you what I mean in the next clip here. So yeah, it sucks working with no audio, but it is what it is. What we have here now, I reinstalled everything. So like I said, you got to put it at an angle and back into the fuel tank. And then what I did first was I did the threading first, because that's a little sus. It's definitely really sus, the fact that you got to use 2 open wrenches and then kind of like be really precise into screwing it back in together. And it's just like I wouldn't say a banjo bolt, but it's like a bolt that you have to like hook up and screw, and it's very sus. I would recommend that you would know what the hell you're doing before you do this. And then once you get towards the end of that bolt, it'll start to tighten and lock in place. Then you reattach your fuel line and screw it back, and then you connect your connector. But basically that's what I did. So yeah, so the next clip is going to be a little montage.
We're way outnumbered. Ramirez, we won't leave you. Nobody's going to get left behind. Ramirez, last mag, make it count.